I can just tell you the facts. The facts is I hit over 40 home runs many, many, many years. What I got suspended for, I think I hit like 5 to 7 home runs. So.
Is Alex or A-Rod we're talking to right now?
So first of all, congratulations on this amazing project. And as a Yankees fan, I have to say thank you for 2009.
You're welcome. That was a fun year.
Not to be a prisoner of the moment, but in this doc, I got to see how much of a baseball junkie, nerd, whatever you want to say that you really are, how much you're obsessed with the sport. Was what we just watched the greatest World Series of all time?
Yes. Well, in my lifetime, I've never, that's obviously very subjective. In my lifetime, I've never seen a better one. It had all the elements of just the juiciest, most delicious World Series. And to be able to have the privilege and the opportunity to do them pre and post for Fox Sports with Poppy, Jeter, and Kevin Burkhardt, it had the 3 S's, right? It had superstars, it had strategy, and it had incredible storylines. And what's great about baseball that's different than the Super Bowl is Super Bowl is one like Tom Cruise movie. It's one of the best things over 100 million people won't watch. What's different and more, I think, more compelling about a 7-game World Series, which are very rare, we've only had 2 prior to this one in the last 8 years, is that it's like a mini docuseries, and there's 7 episodes. And just like Game of Thrones, if you watch all 6, now you're invested. You're hooked. You're hooked in the characters, the storylines, the strategy, and then you must watch Game 7. So it was just awesome. I'm so proud of the game.
I think it was really cool in this doc to see a lot of your Dominican roots. What was it like when you went back to DR and Winter League to play at Cascaya?
Oh man, it was hard. I was only 18 years old, and my biggest competition was really at Westminster Christian a few months before that. And I'm playing against grown men, and I'm 18. These guys are like full men with like 4 or 5 kids. I'm a kid myself. I haven't even started my Major League Baseball career yet. And but it was very, very helpful, and it was eye-opening.
So you talked about Pedro Guerrero, Tony Fernandez, and all of the Dominican players you looked up to. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of Dominican MLB players?
That's a good one. It's crazy that it's such a small island that's had so many incredible superstars. But I have to start with the guys that I played with that I know well, and these guys that happen to be friends. Pedro Martinez, pitching. Juan Marshall, a little before my time, but obviously Hall of Famer, first Dominican Hall of Famer ever inducted. My brother, who I love like a real brother, is Big Poppy. I mean, he's, a lot of people don't know that we both started our career as teenagers in Seattle farm system. And I've known him since I was 17 years old. And we've been very, very close throughout everything. And even in our rivalries, when the Yankees played the Red Sox, he would come to my house, I would go to his. And we both helped each other out tremendously throughout our careers. Think about the next generation. Obviously, you got to put Juan Soto as one of the great hitters, but he's still kind of getting started in his career, still in the early days. So many to mention. I'm going to miss a few, but those guys jump out a little bit.
It was really cool to see how vulnerable you were able to be, and a lot of the things that the trauma of not having your father around, some of the paths that it may have led you down. I want to ask you, not only as somebody who's been through certain things, but as an expert in baseball, how do you think we should deal, as baseball fans specifically, how should we deal with asterisks in sports?
That's a tough one. Each league is different, right? Like NFL has like their rules, NBA has their rules, NHL, and then baseball has its rule. I think just from pure history, I believe the game kind of started around 1876. So of all the four major sports here in America, that's the oldest, and we're kind of married to our history, and the game has changed a lot. It's hard. I mean, that's subjective, it's judgmental. I mean, people are going to have different opinions. I think from the PED perspective, I think there's a lot of education that needs to be told, right? I mean, even the word PEDs, I think most people would not understand that there's over 1,000 different type of PEDs, right? And you have very low level, you have mid level, and then you have, the stuff that people are dying from, right? So I think we're in the early days still of educating ourselves of what's what and what's not.
When you look at your games and you have barbershop talk and you rank the greatest players, do you personally use the asterisk in the conversation, or do you think that we should just look at people's body of work as it is?
Well, for me, like the greatest player that I've laid eyes on, I mean, by far, from the time he came out of Arizona State, is Barry Bonds, right? And the best pitcher I've ever seen is Roger Clemens. So because I competed against these guys, I know exactly who they are for the whole scope of the entire career. So that's a tough one for me. Maybe I'm too close to it.
Gotcha. Last thing I want to ask you about this topic before we move on, because there's so much great stuff in this doc, is just for the general fan who doesn't understand, and I thought you did such an eloquent job of explaining kind of wanting to come back from injury and not being able to get sleep, and those kind of being the things that led you to, maybe I'll experiment with these PEDs and see what it can do. But a lot of people just think like you take a PED and suddenly you can hit 300 or you can hit a bunch of home runs. What is the competitive advantage? If you could break it down in layman's terms, what is
or lack thereof, right? I mean, what's interesting about my situation here is, Greg, that what I served a suspension for, if you look at the body of work of my 23-year career, say I averaged somewhere around 42 home runs through those years. In the time that I got suspended for, I think I hit 5 home runs. So talk about a head fake. And again, the stuff that
like you said, you had pocket aces already.
Oh, exactly. That's what I talk about. What I was accused of is like, remember I said about like the 1,000 different things that you can do. I mean, I was at the very, very like kindergarten level. So it's hard. It's hard to explain. That's what like I have a different perspective than probably the layman fan. But again, I'm too close to it. I can just tell you the facts. The facts is I hit over 40 home runs many, many, many years. And then to make it a double whammy, what I got suspended for, I think I hit like 5 to 7 home runs. So,
yeah. My cousins and I have been having this debate. You said Barry Bonds is the best player you've seen with your eyes. And I know Ohtani has some ways to go, but when you look at prime for prime, how do you rank Barry Bonds versus Ohtani?
Well, Barry Bonds is in pitch, right? That's what makes Ohtani like one of one, and definitely the most unique superstar the game has ever seen. He is the exact combination of the two greatest players I've ever seen, player and pitcher. He's one. Clemens and Barry Bonds. You put those in one, that's Ohtani. And if that's not enough, then he steals bases like Ricky Henderson, right?
So if he stays healthy, then he's just in a class of his own.
As far as uniqueness, he's already past that, whether he stays healthy or not. There's never been a player that's more unique with those two different sets of talent, right? You'll never see that again. We've never seen that before. But as far as the best hitter I've ever seen is Barry Bonds, the best baseball player, and the best pitcher. But that's not even fair to Ohtani, right? Because you're pulling out a set of skills from Barry, you're taking a set of skills from Roger, a set of skills from Ricky Henderson. But the truth is, he's all three of these in one person.
Yeah, it's nuts. Something, another amazing thing in the doc, which was really beautiful, was seeing this like archive footage of you and Ken Griffey, two members.
I'm sorry, Greg. Going back real quick, just so I want you to get a clear understanding of this. Michael Jordan may be the best player of all time, at least in my opinion. That's the basketball. But Steph Curry is a better three-point shooter, right? So that's why it's a little different. So.
No, for sure. But yeah, seeing that footage of you and Ken Griffey Jr., two guys in the 600 club, 2 first-round picks, 2 guys who were young phenoms, it was so cool. What is your favorite memory from his 95 ML MVP season, and what's your favorite off-the-field memory with Ken Griffey?
Ken was 6 years ahead of me. I think he was the first pick in '87 draft. I was the first pick in the '93 draft. So for me, it was such a great blessing to not only play under Lou Pinella's tutelage, but then to have the Michael Jordan of our sport, who's 6 years ahead, kind of showing me the way, paving the way for everything that hopefully I aspire to do in the future, was an incredible blessing. Ken is one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. Super teammate, was a great mentor to me. And then off the field, what I admired the most is what an incredible, devoted family man he was and is. And Melissa Griffey, his wife, they met in A-ball, and they've been together ever since. And he's a great father. So those times were what I would remember the most off the field.
Throughout your career, like, has he, once you guys stopped being teammates, was he somebody that you could still pick up the phone and call when you were going through stuff, when you were having struggles at the plate or anything like that?
That wasn't really the nature of our relationship. Of course, he was always available for me. But I've always been one that I really didn't like to bother him too much because I knew how much was coming at him all the time. But for sure, anytime I've ever needed anything, to this day, if I need something, I just pick up the phone and call him.
That was one of the things that struck me, because as somebody else who's kind of grown up estranged from their father, and there was a moment where Katie Couric says, like, yeah, A-Rod's calling me for advice about what he should do, if he should stay with the Yankees or not. And I was just like, man, I look at it and I'm like, this is somebody who could have used a big brother or a father figure. And I'm just like, man, I wish that, you know, you guys still had that bond. Maybe it would have helped you in some tough times and things like that.
Yeah, I think Lou Piniella had again, I want to paraphrase, not exactly, I'm not going to get this exactly right, but I think he said something along the lines of, you know, I wish Alex would have stayed with us for a couple more years and we would have taken care of him. And I think he's right as far as, you know, Lou created such a great environment for me, and I had such a great environment, safe environment in Seattle, that I'm not sure anything would have changed, but it certainly would have been a good place for me to continue my career, at least for a couple more years, because when I left, I was still a pup. I was still 24, you know, so I had more work to do, and we had unfinished business in Seattle, but, you know, that's not the way things, you know, turned out.
This next act of your career, you're an amazing analyst, and now you're getting into team ownership. And I gotta ask you, I saw you gifted Big Papi and Jeter the old school Timberwolves jerseys. I have to ask you, are you going to get Kevin Garnett's jersey retired? Because the fans have been like really begging for this thing to happen. What's the latest on that?
Well, you know, Mark and I, my partner, we love KG. We love what he's done for the organization. We know how much our fan base cares about him and how important he is to our fan base of Minnesota. It's growing tremendously. So whatever's important to our fans is important to Mark and I, and it's something that we're definitely considering.
On the WNBA side of things, you're obviously a majority owner of the Lynx as well. Have you seen the massive popularity that the Stud Budz have had this past season? Have you had any cool run-ins with them? Any stories you could share?
Well, they're way too cool for me. I get a little intimidated around them because we have such incredible young women that play for us that I'm, you know, like the documentary told you, I'm pretty nerdy. And then they're the opposite of that. They're very cool. So I've learned a lot from it. WNBA is in a great place. We're very proud of our ladies. They've done an incredible job. We have a Hall of Fame coach in Cheryl, and Nafisha Collier is like one of the great leaders of our sport, not just in WNBA, but in sports. And I think that's how we should be referring to WNBA. It's not women or this, it's in sports. They're real stars. And the product's been really, really good for a long time. And I think Kaylin Clark has really helped turbocharge the story, and it's doing really well.
No, definitely. Listen, congrats on this documentary and all your endeavors in the business world, on TV and behind the scenes as well. And just looking forward to seeing all the great things you do in this next act.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Greg.